Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. Intel is here for our first hour. Looking forward to that, talking about their sixth generation core processors and holiday shopping, two-in-ones and tablets. We're going to be talking to Intel's Joshua Newman, the general manager for two-in-ones and tablets. And in the second hour, computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So here we go. Sit back and relax. Enjoy both hours of Computer America here on a beautiful Wednesday.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's an interesting week, and we have a terrific show planned for you. In the second hour of the program, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. In this first hour, Intel is here. That's right. We're going to be talking to Intel about their sixth generation core processors. And since the holidays are upon us, suggestions from Intel, what you should look for when you're buying those holiday gifts.
I assume socks?
Well, yeah, exactly. But not the kind that you wear, I don't think.
Craig, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
Sockets, not socks.
Yes.
I got you.
Sockets, exactly. So anything else you want to mention before we bring our guest on for this hour?
No. I think we have some really great news stories for the second hour, but no, I think we should just get into it.
Okay, well, let's do it. Well, as I said, it's our Intel sponsor hour. And our guest, of course, is Intel. Each month we have an Intel representative speaking on new Intel products and services and news stories. Today we have Joshua Newman here. He is Intel's general manager for two-in-ones and tablets to discuss holiday shopping and Intel's sixth generation core processor. Josh, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks very much, Greg.
Thank you for being here. So, as I said, the holidays are upon us, and we all know that Intel released its sixth generation Intel core processor in September. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what that means for consumers this holiday season?
Yeah, sure thing. The sixth gen core, it's an amazing new processor, and what it really means for consumers is an incredible new selection of the thinnest and lightest and sleekest designs, from all-in-one desktops to two-in-ones, the types of PCs that it's going to blow you away if you haven't been PC shopping in a while in terms of the different types of form factors and capabilities that are out there, all powered by the Intel 6th Gen core processor.
So tell us a little bit about the 6th Gen. I know that we talked a little bit about it in September, but why don't you give us a little bit of an overview, what the 6th generation core, means? I mean, what are some of the features, abilities of this processor line?
Yeah, sure thing. So the 6th Gen core, if you look at a lot of the installed base of PCs, right? If you look at a 5-year-old notebook, if that's what you're currently using, what a 6th Gen core processor is going to give you in a smaller and lighter form factor is you get 2.5 times the performance of a 5-year-old PC, but it's going to be smaller. It's going to have much longer battery life, triple the battery life compared to a laptop of 5 years ago, right? The other one, graphics performance, right? We all know that applications and games and everything's getting much more graphical, much more realistic. Compared to the PCs sold just 5 years ago, the 6th Gen Core actually delivers about 30 times better 3D graphics performance for the latest, applications, games, and entertainment.
30 times?
So it really is. Oh yeah, 30 times. It's a phenomenal. So really, it's just an awesome time to go out, and if you haven't been out for a while, go check out what's on. What kind of PCs are out there with the 6th Gen Core.
You mentioned systems that are 5 years old and older. Is that the magic number? I mean, if people have,
because I think the old mentality was, about every 2-3 years you should replace your computer because it just takes so long. But it seems like last 5 years, last 7 years or so. I mean, people are holding on to computers for longer and longer. Like they're just lasting longer.
I actually think we've seen that for sure. And but if you go look at the overall kind of population of PCs, we estimate that there's over 1 billion PCs that are 3 years or older, right? And that is a result somewhat of people holding on to PCs longer. But the alternatives that are out there for people's buying tech, it's obviously lots of different tech out there in tablets and smartphones. But actually, a lot of the research we've seen says that by 2018, expect most U.S. adults to have 3 or 4 devices. And as you start to look at the incredible capabilities that are available compared to 5-year-old PCs, we're starting to see a lot more people get excited about coming back and refreshing those PCs now.
You think people are tending to use more mobile devices that are sort of substituting for PCs that's causing this longer expanse? I mean, people are now buying tablets and are using their smartphones as opposed to their desktop computers, and that's sort of giving everything they have more life. Do you think that's the part fits into the equation, or is it? What do you think that is, Josh?
I think it is. I think people's tech habits are far more diverse than they've ever been. They're when they're on the go, it's the smartphone's always in the pocket. And on a plane or in a car ride for your family members, it's nice to have a tablet screen that's also highly mobile. And then, of course, when you have to do any work or any creation, the PC is the go-to device. And so, increasingly, we're seeing consumers that have a high desire for tech gifts, especially around this holiday season, wanting to refresh that tech across those range of devices. PCs are back on the top of a lot of consumer wish lists.
There was some worry way back that PCs were dying out and tablets.
Back when? I just read 4 articles this morning about the death of the PC era. Like it's every year. It's the last year of the PC, but that never happens. Never quite happens.
Yeah. Well, and they keep predicting this, and it doesn't seem to happen. And
if they predict every year, they're going to be right eventually.
True.
I think if you go back and look at a lot of those articles, most of them were probably written on a PC. So, we'll see. But that's where the keeping the innovation pace is incredibly important as tech habits evolve. As new generations grow up with different devices. It's increasingly important to keep innovation and excitement in the category. And we think, right now there's just a lot of innovation and excitement in the category, especially when you look at 2 of the newer categories in the PC, the all-in-one and the 2-in-1. And the 2-in-1 being, one that, Intel's been really, really promoting and creating over the last couple of years, where you have these incredible new PCs that they're a tablet when you want it and a PC when you need it, and you don't have to compromise. You really get both of those in 2. That's why we call them a 2-in-1.
Okay, well, you mentioned these all-in-one PCs and these two-in-ones, and a lot of people tend to interchange those terms, and that's really not the case. And since you're the Intel general manager for both two-in-ones and tablets, I can't think of anybody more qualified to explain some of the differences, what these devices are, and the differences between them. So could you please do that?
Yeah, sure. So, a traditional laptop is, you have a hinge, the keyboard's on the bottom, and open it up and you have the screen. So that's your traditional laptop. And obviously you can put the screen in many angles, but you always need, in general, the keyboard and the mouse attached in order to use it. And for, most modes of use, especially when you're creating documents or, photoshopping or whatever those uses are, or gaming as well on most game modes. That's the mode of operation you want to be in. But if you want to kick back on a plane, or even just waiting out in a doctor's office and catch up on your latest episodes of your favorite TV show, it's nice to be able to take that screen, pull it off the keyboard, keep the keyboard in the bag, and just kick back like a tablet mode and relax and consume that way. And a two-in-one lets you do that. There's kind of two different main flavors of two-in-ones you'll see out there. One is where the screen actually detaches from the keyboard, and there what you get is the screen part. When you pull it out, it's every bit as thin and light as the most advanced tablet in the marketplace, because it's all you're sort of leaving that keyboard dock behind. And that's one type. Lots of people like those. And the other type is the 360 hinge. So it's just like a traditional laptop that people have known for many, many years, but it actually allows you to flip it all the way over, right? So the keyboard's on the bottom and the screen's on the top, and you now have a flat tablet mode. And increasingly people are liking those more for larger screens, because it allows them multiple modes of usage. It could be a tablet on their lap if they want to be writing with a pen. It could also be, obviously the traditional notebook. But the other two modes that we're seeing more and more use of is you can, flip it over into what we call tent mode. So think about flipping your notebook into an A shape, right? And turning it, pull the screen nice and close to you on the desk, attach a game controller, right? And you're now playing games with a mini game console in your notebook. So it's just a very versatile device that allows for all the different types of things that people want to do with their notebooks, and to do them in new ways.
Now,
I think one thing to make perfectly clear is that a lot of these form factors, 5 years ago, as you said, a lot of laptops that people are using nowadays are more than 5 years old. They just weren't available.
Well, and that's I would think that's true. I'm doing the visualizing the two-in-one that you described. So when you have the traditional laptop, the keyboard is in front of you, the screen is facing you. But when you take the keyboard and you flip it up to the back, now you make it like a tablet, aren't the keys exposed on the back of the tablet? Can that cause a problem if you push it down, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, pretty much all of them have been designed very intelligently, so that the notebook actually knows the mode it's in. And so when a two-in-one with that 360 hinge is flipped all the way over and the keys are underneath, it knows to ignore any presses on the keys. Right. So if you have it on your lap and you accidentally touch a key, but you're in tablet mode, it doesn't register the input. In that case, the touch screen is the primary interface, just like using a tablet.
I got it. I understand. I think there's some also that the 360 hinge will actually pivot, so it pivots and then flips up, and so the keys are actually facing the back of the screen. I've seen a couple of them like that.
Yeah, we've seen just a lot of exciting innovation in this area. So there's certainly been, some of the system manufacturers have played around with or experimented with different modes. So some of them will actually revolve around a sort of a base, and then the screen will close on top of the keys. So you still get that same tablet mode, but the keys are not on the bottom side.
Right.
There's some others that actually slide like the kind of old-fashioned slider phones where the keyboard slides out from under the screen. So yeah, there's just lots of innovation in this area because the concept of delivering, both a tablet when you want it and a laptop when you need it is really, really an exciting capability to have. And we just see this 2-in-1 category, since we've created it, is driving just a lot of excitement and refresh, and again, getting people back to go and refresh their PCs.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
And and I mean, real quick, don't take it the wrong way, but a lot of that seems like work on the hardware side, like where that'll be the different companies that actually make the hardware. What has Intel been working on with their processors that makes all this possible? Is the fact that they're more power efficient, and now more efficient, more powerful, that you can run things like touchscreens pretty easily? Like how does Intel play into all this development?
Yeah, so great question. We are working with a lot of the different system manufacturers, as well as really closely with Microsoft on the new Windows 10 operating system. But there are a lot of technologies in the processors themselves. The 6th Gen core power, and performance balance is incredibly well balanced, that you get the kind of that you expect from a tablet. With the new Core M processor, we're seeing significantly long video playback battery lifetime, similar to what you would get from any kind of premium large screen tablet, but also able to do everything your PC can do. The other one is just working across the many system manufacturers we work with, the many component suppliers, to bring these systems to life. We've got now over 80 2-in-1 designs that are in the market. That's 3 times the number in the last 2 years. And the price range goes from $200 to $999. Screen size from 10-inch to 15.6-inch screens. So just lots of variety, lots of different features. It's really representative of what we've seen in the laptop market, where you had all these different shapes and flavors and performance levels and price points. We're starting to see the 2-in-1 market mirror that as well through all of the work with the system manufacturers. There are Core M designs, which is our newest version of the processor that we first launched with the 5th generation core processor. Now with the 6th generation core processor, we have more than 50% more of those designs. And what Core M is it's a new brand processor performance level compared to the Core i3, i5, i7. We now have the Core M3, M5, M7.
Wow.
And it's designed for a point that actually allows for a fanless 2-in-1 design. And what fanless buys you is what you would expect from the leading tablets in the market, where the entire device behind the screen is actually sealed. Right? There's no vents, there's no noise. The temperature of the device itself while you're holding it is comfortable to the touch because it's running at a much lower power. But we've been able to design these versions of the 6th Gen core so that it's able to scale up to deliver the PC performance expected from the Core branded PC processors, but operate in a tablet mode and still deliver what consumers expect from a tablet, which is nice, cool to hold, and not the noise of a fan, and a nice design that's fully sealed. So these are some of the hardware innovations that we've been working on to make to bring this new 2-in-1 category to life.
So I'm assuming that the M stands for mobile. Is that a fair assumption for the i3, i5, i7?
It is a fair assumption. It doesn't necessarily stand for that. It's an identifier on the brand, and we'll just to distinguish it from the Core i3, i5, i7. And the reason is we want to help consumers choose. And again, as I mentioned with 2-in-1s, there have just lots of choice, different shapes and different sizes, and the classic Core i3, i5, i7 brands are still our performance branded processors. And so not to minimize the amount of innovation that's in a 13 or 14 inch convertible 360 or gaming laptop, even where the system manufacturers working with Intel have built, silent fans, have built just really good systems that have really long battery life. Again, much longer than a 5-year-old notebook, but have incredible performance packed into these devices. And so with that, the Core i3, i5, i7, as people have always come to expect, we're delivering, that new wave of performance. I mentioned, 2.5x versus 5-year-old PCs. So that's, our highest performance processors get the Core i brand. Same thing as in the all-in-ones, right? The Core i3, i5, i7 brand. Those processors deliver our highest levels of performance. With the Core M, we wanted to distinguish that because it is a carefully balanced between performance and power to be able to fit in these new fanless designs. And if a consumer is looking for a mobile-first design where they come to expect the thinnest, lightest, and sealed and quiet, cool devices, it really is a different performance point that we had to engineer. And we wanted to distinguish that between our brand so we can really help consumers choose that you get a Core M branded 6th gen processor that still delivers a lot more power for the punch, versus a 5-year-old notebook, but does so with this new level of mobility. Or choose the Core i3, i5, i7 levels, which now you get even more performance, as well as better battery life from that 5-year-old notebook. So we just wanted to make sure that consumers could understand and help them choose, because there are some differences where one is mobile first mentality, where the other is performance first.
Well, obviously, when you have a mechanical fan turning in a computer, that is, albeit a very efficient one, that's one of the main things that draw a lot of power. I mean, running a fan. So, and when you come up with a processor where you have this sealed unit where heat distribution is not reliant on a mechanical fan pumping air through it, you're going to get a lot better battery life with that unit because you're not driving a powered fan. So that certainly makes a lot of sense. And yet, as you say, continue to give people the 6th generation Core processor power is certainly amazing. The cost between the M series and the i3, i5, i7 series, are they about the same, or do the cost factor between the two different series of processors? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, but both series of processors, the Core M3, M5, M7, and the Core i3, i5, i7, are going to be available in a wide range of price points. In fact, you'll see they're going to be available in similar price point ranges in terms of the systems that they're designed into. And of course, there's a lot of other different innovations in the systems that will define the final pricing of the systems. But you should expect to see that a wide range of price points on both of the product lines, as well as lots of shapes and sizes and weights. The interesting thing, as you consider the different design points, is you mentioned the battery life and related to having a fan or not. The battery life is obviously driven by a lot of different factors. So when you look at a lot of these new Core i3, i5, i7 notebooks, there is some of them have new battery technologies, larger batteries. So it's not necessarily the case that because you're choosing the higher performance that you're compromising battery life. It's a series of factors. The battery life on some of these new Core i systems are phenomenally long. Right. And they themselves rival what's to be expected from a tablet these days. So, been a big focus on battery life, and one of the reasons is independent of whether you're going for the thinnest and lightest 2-in-1, or you want that gaming notebook that gives you this highest level of performance. We did some research recently about what's on consumers' minds around the holiday. And one of the fascinating things that came out of it was, we've evolved to a point in our technology, in our everyday consciousness of our lives, that more U.S. adults in our recent survey, when we talked to them about holiday travel concerns, just general concerns, more U.S. adults in our survey said that running out of battery power on their tech was more of a pet peeve during travels than sitting next to a crying baby or hearing a crying baby during their travels. So that amazed us that our technology has creeped into everyday consciousness now through all aspects of our lives.
That is an interesting observation.
Well, and I think that just has to go to the fact that you mentioned that it's creeped into our everyday lives, but it's because the tech does so much. I mean, if you're sitting in a car, you can watch movies, listen to music, you can play games, you can do this. Like, you can be more entertained sitting in a car than you could at home sometimes. Like, it's tech is just so useful. It's like, I completely understand why people, sitting next to a baby is no good, but I can completely understand how people get really mad when their tech, runs dead. It's a huge loss.
And there's no power plug in sight, especially in the car.
You can't plug into the baby.
You can't plug into the baby. No,
and I know this one personally. I have 3 kids myself, and they all have their own tech, and it's they're all in the the Gen Z category. And it's interesting as you go, some of that same research as you go, further down the generations from the Gen X to the millennials down to Gen Z, that annoyance of forgetting to pack the charger, even for a half-a-day trip, increases significantly depending on the age group. So my kids, the Gen Z, much like our research says, are just it's 7 out of 10 of them would say that the largest pet peeve when they're traveling is forgetting a charger. And I could attest to that firsthand, because I can't get them out of the house for a 2-hour trip without them making sure they have some way of assuring their tech doesn't run out of battery.
Well, I guess they don't know the horror yet of forgetting to print out the MapQuest directions. So
That's right.
But you mentioned that you have 3 kids, so you might actually be a good one to ask this stuff. These different form factors, the 2-in-1s and that kind of thing. How are kids liking it? Adults are obviously using it, and they're using it to do things like, I assume, reading on tablets and things like that. But how are kids enjoying the different form factors?
Yeah, so from what I've seen, they come to expect the things that 2-in-1s do now that we never expected from notebooks 5 years ago. Just observationally, they've come to expect touch. In the case of some of the newer 2-in-1s, they've come to expect having a pen to do input, whether it's just messing around or marking up homework assignments. They've certainly come to expect the longest possible battery life. Just going back to the biggest pet peeve, running out of battery life during travel. What's more is I see my kids experiment a lot with the different things their tech can do. So the notion of flipping the 2-in-1 onto that kind of tent mode, we call it. Think of it as an A, as the laptop being flipped over into an A, and using a game controller with your notebook. That's exactly what I watch my son do, especially with the new Windows 10 and Xbox streaming. These are real things that they're figuring out how to do on their own. And they're just expecting now more of their tech to adapt to what they want to do when they want to do it.
Yeah. You can get that firsthand observation, which really is. Let me ask you this. We're coming to the bottom of the hour break, so we're really not going to have too much time. We keep talking about the 2-in-1 category, and we had also earlier on mentioned that the people's claims that the PC sales are on the decline. Do you think that the 2-in-1s had any effect on that observation?
Well, I think the 2-in-1s are actually reversing that. We are seeing significantly faster refresh with 2-in-1s. So for the people that have bought 2-in-1s over the past year, we've been talking to them, and comparing them to people who bought laptops. And what our research is showing again and again is that people who bought 2-in-1s are actually buying 8 to 12 months faster than people who are buying laptops. Right? They're claiming the device they're replacing is much younger, right, than the device the laptop's claiming. So, to Ben's earlier point about it seems like people are keeping their notebook. The 2-in-1s seem to be reversing that trend, where they're actually replacing sooner as a result of the 2-in-1 category.
Wow.
Yeah,
Josh,
go ahead. Sorry.
We're at the bottom of the hour, so I wanted to continue that thought, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back. Ben and I are talking to Josh Newman. He is the Intel's general manager for 2-in-1s and tablets. We're also going to be talking about the 6th Gen Intel Core and Windows 10. They are optimized to work together. We'll talk about that as well. We'll be right back with lots more. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's the fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I love listening to old radio shows and hearing all the dead people left. Hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Myonix Sargas M mouse surfaces. The Swedes at Myonix are cranking up the idea of the mouse pad into a suite of surfaces, maybe smaller or the same size or quite a bit bigger. Their XXL is 500 by 1200 millimeters. That's a skosh under 20 inches by 48 inches. The underside has a texturized rubbery surface that's unlikely to slip. The water-repellent top is a specially woven microfiber that works with high-resolution optical and laser mice. The edges are laser cut to prevent them from curling up. So bottom line, when you're ready for more room to mouse and a great surface for doing it, look into the Myonix Sargas M. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Ah, yes, always full of holiday cheer. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that News Tips Bulletin review. I got a little dark at the beginning, but
Yeah.
you think he was talking about me and you? Well, like, are we in some kind of like Sixth Sense kind of? Okay,
Could be.
yeah, could be. So yes, we are here in our All Intel hour right now, and we have Joshua Newman here. He's the general manager, 2-in-1s and tablets for Intel, and we're just getting into more the 2-in-1s and their effect on the PC sales market, because that's such a huge indicator of tech trends and what just what I think in general people feel about technology, if it's getting better, if it's getting worse, if it's too expensive and whatnot. And very nice little sample there saying that people are actually replacing their 2-in-1s, about 8 to 9 months faster than traditional laptops, which is, I guess, before moving on from there, I just kind of want to ask you about that and your thoughts on that's not necessarily a bad thing because, 2-in-1s in these computers, they're getting less expensive every year and they're getting more and more feature rich. You mentioned things like touchscreen and, other devices and apps and other, voice-based digital assistants. But do you think the replacing of the 2-in-1s, is that just good marketing? Like, are companies really getting good at saying, well, your old one doesn't do this, but the new one does this and this? Or is it strictly a performance thing where people, maybe they'll see someone else with a newer 2-in-1 and they say, wow, that's much more responsive. That's much better speakers, blah, blah, blah. Is it a marketing thing or a performance thing that's making people replace their tablets their 2-in-1s?
Maybe a little of both.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it is a value proposition, right? It's the utility that a 2-in-1 offers for the price of what people are looking for a notebook for, and now suddenly they get 2 devices in one, or in some cases even more modes than that, like the gaming mode with the tent mode and the 2-in-1 I mentioned. So yeah, I think it comes down to they just do more and they change what people can do with them. And so the result was, and what the research said was, because 2-in-1s are new, it's actually people are refreshing. They owned a notebook before and they're refreshing. The people who bought the 2-in-1s are refreshing that a lot faster than the people who are buying new notebooks are refreshing their existing notebooks. And I think it just comes down to, you have a notebook at home already. You're shopping, you're kind of waiting for the thing that's going to make you buy a new one. And the 2-in-1s have shown that they are exciting. They're bringing a lot more value and utility to the device. You can do a lot more with it, a lot of new ways of interacting with it. And it is getting people to refresh them 8 to 12 months sooner. The other interesting thing we found in that same research, by the way, which you wouldn't really see as much with notebooks, is that when you poll the 2-in-1 buyers, more than half of them actually said they were considering buying a tablet, and they bought the 2-in-1 instead. And of those, 40% total say that the tablet was the number one device they were considering before they bought the 2-in-1. So I also think compared to 5 years ago, obviously people are more used to these new types of devices. And the fact that a 2-in-1 brings that best of a tablet, best of a notebook into a single device is just a great value proposition that's getting people to buy and to refresh their PCs.
Are you saying then that people are buying these 2-in-1 category systems to replace their notebooks, or actually replacing the notebooks with the 2-in-1 as opposed to supplementing it?
Yeah, so when we do the research, the assumption is yes, they're buying this 2-in-1 to replace the existing notebook they had at home. But we don't know for sure, right? Sometimes they'll take the existing notebook and they'll gift it to a child. They may donate it. They may keep it around as a backup. But yeah, as we talk to them in the research, we're asking them how old the notebook they are replacing is, assuming they're replacing one, and the answer, they tell us how old it is. All right, and that's where they were able to draw the conclusions that 2-in-1s are actually driving that replacement a year earlier than notebooks.
Well, in the industry, we call that waterfalling, when we hand it down to the kids. But I'm wondering if the kids are really less inclined to want the notebook and they want the 2-in-1 because you have the touch screen, you have the tablets, everything the kid will want, and then you hand them this bulky notebook.
Well, it's so hard to get a good paying job as an 8-year-old and go make your own money. Buy your own computer that you kind of stuck with wherever you get waterfall to.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. I think the expectations of the millennials and Gen Z, they have increasingly high demands on the utility of whatever device you give them. So you're probably right that they're going to want the thinnest and lightest, most capable 2-in-1 rather than the 3 or 4 year old notebook.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the kids touching the screen of the notebook, and wait a minute, this doesn't do anything. I have to use the mouse. Come on, I want to. I mean,
right?
How archaic.
Yeah, how archaic. I think that's the expectation. So I don't think that notebook is going to easily waterfall down to the kids. I think the best it's going to be just a backup system if something goes wrong.
You did mention that most U.S. adults are going to have 4 or 5 different devices, and it sounds like people are they're prone to having backups.
Yeah. I mean that's definitely what the research says. It's very common, right? And that I think it was a study that we referenced from Gartner, which but by 2018, that consumers in the U.S. and other mature markets were going to have 3 to 4 devices, and that's just going to be the new normal.
Right. And with the way these things network and back up to each other, I think that's what we're going to see is that when you're using the 2-in-1, it'll probably sync up or with the notebook, and it'll just be there. You might have the notebook running something in the home, maybe as an inexpensive media center of some sort. And then, but if something goes wrong, then you can just fall back to the notebook while you get your 2-in-1 fixed, and then go back to it as it is. I mean, because everything is becoming so interconnected these days, Josh. We're seeing a lot of that happen.
We haven't gotten into, and I don't think we're going to in this hour. But Intel is doing a lot of great things in the Internet of Things.
Yes.
Category.
Yeah. Exactly. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the 6th Gen Intel Core and Windows 10. I know they're optimized to work together. Talk a little bit about how you think this may have an effect on the PC market.
Yeah, sure. So, the data shows consistently that consumers often buy a new PC when, and new operating system together. Mm-hmm. It's in the past, whether it was Windows XP or Windows 7. Now with Windows 10, it's usually a good time where consumers take a look and they want to update to the latest, and that's the time that they also go consider buying the new PC. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of them have been waiting quite a while for both the new hardware and new Windows operating system combination. And this Windows 10 experience is just fantastic. So it's got a lot of what people loved about Windows 7. It also brings some of the new capabilities people expect from touch-first devices, and marries those together very seamlessly in the approach. And so that is is a great sort of complement to what a 2-in-1 does from a hardware perspective, mm-hmm. which aims to do the same thing, which is be both a great PC and a great tablet. So you take that and you take the fact that, as we talked about earlier, we're comparing 5-year-old PCs. The current data in the research actually suggests that there is right now in the overall desktop and notebook worldwide industry about mm-hmm. a greater than a 6-year average refresh rate, which means people are hanging on average to their PCs about 6 years. Right. So with that, we believe that there's significant pent-up demand for this new, all this new goodness that comes from marrying the utility and value of a 2-in-1 or the space-saving but high-performance capabilities of a brand new all-in-one with the new Windows 10 operating system. That's it's gonna create a magnitude of refresh that we haven't seen before, we believe. So it's just a great time, and we're very confident that the new OS, together with the new 6th Gen Intel Core, together with new 2-in-1s and all-in-1s, it's an amazing time. No better time than ever for consumers to go out and buy a new PC.
Really, it certainly makes a lot of sense too. I guess basically the fact that in many cases the Windows 10 operating system has been offered for free certainly is an additional motivation for people just to do it. Although now when you buy a 2-in-1 now, Windows 10 is already on those systems because the 2-in-1s run Windows 10, And I think it's Microsoft's intention to get everybody on the same version of Windows, get everybody on Windows 10. I mean, that's their focus. That's been their push, and certainly seems to be happening. And there are some that still hang on to the older Windows, but we're seeing that the acceptance of Windows 10 is certainly people are coming around to it. And when you have things like those 6 Gen Intel Core processors out there, you obviously have people who want the latest, the fastest, the best, and I think it's just a natural thing to have that and Windows 10 working together, because they are optimized to work together. Can you speak a little bit about how they're doing that?
Yeah, sure. So with Windows 10, there are a lot of new capabilities that benefit from both new hardware and new processor performance. A couple really good examples. The latest hardware is going to work best with the new Cortana in Windows 10, which is the integrated voice search and control capability, which is a really nice experience if you've played with it on a new notebook before or a new PC, where it's really about being able to you have keyboard, you have mouse, you now have touch, now voice is yet another capability that's a way to interact with the PC and the OS. And it really is expressed best with new hardware that's really thought about microphone placement and assuring the longest battery life and the performance to sort of feed the searches that come behind what you're asking Cortana to do for you. So you put all those together, and while you can run it on an older PC, even Microsoft recommends some of the newer PCs that have the 6th Gen Core with this consideration in the original system design for this kind of new input interface. The other example is Windows Hello, which is a new way of unlocking your device and sharing the same device within members of the family, where each of them can log in with their face or with a fingerprint and get their own personalized experience on the same device. And again, that's a capability that requires careful thought and system design with the right features, and requires some performance to make sure that it does that all securely. All of that best expressed with new 6th Gen Intel Core processors.
And it's, people are naturally migrating to those. I know there are some people who hold out or resist or don't use them, but we're seeing less and less of that happening.
I think once you see it work the first time, it's an incredible aha, especially Windows Hello. It really is a kind of great aha that a PC can do that. It's incredible that you go from having to type in long passwords or pins or just not even leaving it protected, to now you just pick it up, open it up, and if it's my son's PC, I can actually have my own account on his gaming notebook, and log right in and get my own sort of desktop environment, and it feels like it's my notebook even though it's his, and he doesn't like that very much, but as he said, it's hard to get work as in his case a 13-year-old these days. Good paying work as a 13-year-old. And again, you don't have to worry about passwords. I mean, that's been one of that's becoming that's
a thing, that's becoming a thing of the previous generations. Oh, I forgot my password. My password is password. Or
like that really feels like the next the next push in tech is going to be how to abolish passwords. And we've had password managers for a while now, and things like Windows Hello. But it feels like in the next couple of years that everything's going to start shifting away to maybe not biometrics, but just other forms of passwords. And I think a lot of people are just, very, very happy about that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really big user pain points on all devices. And I think we're, Intel with 6th Gen Core and our new platforms are working to really try to solve that, along with Microsoft. But yeah, the passwords, the number of passwords, I think the research we had, it's something like 15 to 20 is the typical number of unique passwords that U.S. adult PC users have. And, I often cycle through which ones I'm forgetting on a week-by-week basis. But this new technology, I think, the younger generations are just not going to tolerate that kind of pain, and they're going to just expect it all to react to their face or their fingerprints or their voice or whatever that means of logging in that's always with you, so that you don't have to, so that you just eliminate that whole pain point. And I think you said it, Ben, but the research we did said the number one password that people use is the actual word password, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's definitely opportunity to improve and hopefully eliminate that pain point. And Intel's certainly working on technology and very focused on ways of eliminating that and making the whole experience much more seamless.
I'm seeing it happen too. Even on my smartphone. I mean, I'm seeing it. Our bank just recently now is allowing biometric entry, like things like Touch ID.
Yes. My bank actually just took my blood sample. So
I got to tell you, I mean, it really makes life simpler. Otherwise you don't have to remember the passwords anymore. It's just a wonderful thing, and I'm gratified to see that systems like this are implementing that. So you mentioned the passwords, you mentioned Face, you mentioned Cortana. Any other optimization with Windows 10 and the Intel 6th Gen Intel Core processors, Josh?
Big focus on power and performance. So it comes back to what we talked about earlier. Making this new flock of PCs that are available, just long battery life as they can be, to really eliminate that major pet peeve and expectation people have of their devices now of being able to leave the charger home for the day, or not having to go plug in every time they sit down at a coffee shop, and just getting the best. Intel has been known for as many years, it's in our DNA of delivering the best possible performance, and we've been working tirelessly and with the across the range of 6th Gen Intel Core processors to deliver incredible performance for gaming, for creating, for even browsing the web as the web content gets richer and richer. That the performance demands are increasing, and people just expect to be in the flow and whatever they're doing. And we want to make sure that these, we're working hard to make sure that the performance we deliver is going to keep people in the best possible flow and love their PCs.
Now, I see that Intel recently conducted a holiday survey on consumer travel pet peeves and also tech buying trends. Can you speak a little bit for our listeners as what you actually found in those surveys?
Yeah, so we actually had a couple findings, both us and some of the other research houses have been doing different surveys. Start with what we found in the recent Gartner Personal Tech Survey for 2015, that actually 50% of consumers did express intention to purchase a new PC in 12 months. And I think it goes back to in the next 12 months. And I think it goes back to what we've been talking about, for the past 45 minutes, which is just this unprecedented new range of new devices, new form factors, and new price points with, the battery life and performance improvements, as well as the other capabilities that are now available in the latest flock of PCs. Mm-hmm. So that's a really important indicator. And out of that is some of the own holiday surveys that Intel's been doing, and around tech buying trends. We found that over 1/3 of Americans now claim that upgrading their outdated technology is on their holiday wish list. Right. So hopefully a lot of people will be opening up new PCs under the tree this year. So that's a big one. And just I alluded to it earlier, but the other survey we did was just on holiday travel. What are people's pet peeves during holiday travel? We thought that was a timely survey to run. And we were really just amazed about how much of that was about their tech. right? And 30% of people say it's a bigger pet peeve to run out of battery life while they're traveling than to hear a crying baby. We've got 3 out of 4 Americans are cite tech complaints among their holiday pet peeves, whether it's low Wi-Fi connectivity or they forgot their charger, things like that.
Low Wi-Fi,
and go ahead.
We're seeing so much Wi-Fi being available now in more and more places, which is a good thing. Yet it's also you have to be careful. I mean, when you're using Wi-Fi in a public, you don't want to start using.
Oh, Craig, don't bring the room down. Thinking about security.
Well, but you see, that's where the you're talking about fingerprint and things that Windows 10 and the Intel 6th Gen core processors are bringing together. So you're using facial recognition. So if you have somebody kind of sniffing the Wi-Fi network, they're not going to be able to get that. They can't grab that. They can't use that. It's useless to them. So
that's definitely one aspect is higher security level. The other one is Wi-Fi standards themselves have evolved quite a bit in the last 5 years, and a lot of the Wi-Fi available in coffee shops or public places is faster. And if you don't have a new PC that supports those latest Wi-Fi standards, you're missing out on the opportunity to have the faster connect time, whether you're in your own home, your office, or even some of these public places that are implementing additional Wi-Fi bandwidth and making their own networks faster. So that plays right into breaking through those pet peeves of poor connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
So the other one is one of the other trends that's really interesting. We talked a lot about all-in-ones and two-in-ones, but gaming PCs. So one of the other really big trends we found that is really interesting is that 6 out of 10 that we surveyed actually said they're more likely to purchase a PC than a new gaming console this holiday season, right? And I think a lot of those folks, 2/3 claim that having a PC actually eliminates the need for them to play video games on a gaming console. So as cool as the new consoles are, I think there's a lot of new PC options and capabilities that are driving people back to the PC for gaming, and that's a pretty exciting trend that we see as well.
Yeah, see, I blame Intel because the consoles are great and all, but computers have already, like the year that the next gen consoles came out, the gaming computers were already a couple iterations better than the hardware baked into the next gen consoles. So every year that goes by, the consoles generally stay the same, but gaming PCs, those always get better year over year.
Yeah, and they're a great bang for the buck because they're also full PCs with all the utility we talked about earlier. So, I think so. I think that continuing to drive that performance, do it on a regular cadence, and what the system manufacturers are doing with some of the new gaming specific features they're building into the gaming PCs. It's a really exciting time for gaming on PCs.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Ben is our consummate gamer here at Computer America. He's into games. He leads our Gamer Tuesdays that we have on a regular basis. And in fact, he's going out to CES to do some coverage for us. And games are in the forefront.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, okay, we've got about less than a minute left, Josh. Anything else you want to let our listeners know about the Intel 6th Gen core processors?
Just that if you look at it, there's really never been a better time to buy a PC. I think with 6th Gen core, with Windows 10, with new 2-in-1s, all-in-ones, gaming PCs and notebooks. There's just a lot out there, a lot of price points, a lot of screen sizes, all of them just packed with, incredible value and capabilities. So, again, it's just really exciting time. Hopefully a lot of your listeners, have one on their wish list or in their future plans. Our surveys suggest they probably do. I can't stress enough. It's a super exciting time, and it's really never been a better time to get a new PC.
All right, Josh, listen, I want to thank you so much for being with us here. Again, Joshua Newman, Intel's General Manager of 2-in-1s and tablets here. Hopefully has given you some additional insights as the holidays approach and gift buying is upon us. Josh, thank you so much for being with us here today on Computer America. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Thank you. You take care. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. Intel here with us on the show again. And as you heard, now is the time to get that Intel 6th generation core processor on your desk or in your travel device, your personal device. All right, coming up in the second hour, we've got computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Although another news tips bulletin review. That's all coming up in hour 2 of Computer America. Stay with us.
All right. And that was our interview with Intel live. And we're going to start right now here on Computer America.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
That was a very interesting first hour with Intel, talking about 2-in-1s, tablets, the 6th generation core processors from Intel. If you missed any portion of that, you certainly can listen to it again at ComputerAmerica.com. Just click on the archives page, and you'll see all the different places that archive the show, so you can listen to it whenever you like. But of course, we're live 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And if you have a comment or a question for us, give us a call, 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. There's also any page at ComputerAmerica.com. Haven't done that in a while. You can, in the upper right-hand corner of any page, just click it. It says submit a question. Just click it. It'll take you to the question submission page. You can type in your question, and Ben and I will see it immediately. And we'll answer your question. We'll try to answer your question. But in this hour, we're also going to be doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Why don't we just take a few moments, Ben, before we get into the news, though, to talk a little bit about CES. And
I'm sure by this point, everyone is thinking, we get it, guys, calm down. But we really want to hit you over the head with it really, really hard, because it is such a big event. It's, one of the biggest events of the year, and it just so happens to happen at the beginning of the year. And we're going to be out there with a lot of our friends from the show that you know and love, and with the crew out from Pop Zara, as we do Showstoppers and we do CES proper. So.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of that, again, all going to be happening and this is a good time to mention also that Computer America will be taking our one and only long vacation holiday time off for the year. The 23rd of December is the last show of the year, and we'll be doing that with Dick DeBartolo, the GizWiz. And then on the 24th, Christmas Eve, we'll have no live show, and that will span the week of the 28th. And through the New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, over the weekend, well, again, no live show. On the 4th of January, that's Monday, the Computer America returns live. Okay, we're going to start broadcasting then. Ben and I will be back. But then the day after, the 5th, Ben will be winging his way to CES in Las Vegas, and will be in the air, so he won't be broadcasting with us. So filling in for Ben for the rest of the week, as my co-host, will be Nathan Evans, managing editor of Pop Zara magazine. He's going to be joining me, talking to all the guests, and Ben will be on with us as well. out from CES and Showstoppers. It's going to be a really interesting time. And Nathan will be co-hosting me the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's right through the Friday. Over the weekend, we have our usual break. And then on the 11th, Ben will be back to co-host the show. And then things will continue on. It's going to be an interesting week. And we are looking forward to it. And hopefully you're looking forward to participating and listening on
For
the
sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, anything else you want to mention before we get started?
Anything else? No. Again, thank you, Intel, for being here with us in the first hour. But we have a lot of news stories, and fortunately / unfortunately, just a little heads up that not a lot, but some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today does have a political bent, because it seems like towards the end of the year, politicians are going to go on their winter break. And they're just cramming a bunch of legislation through, and a lot of that legislation has to deal directly with technology. So, don't send us your hate mail. It's just what the state of the country is. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
Or
now,
send Craig the hate mail.
yeah.
One
One
or
thing.
the other.
One thing I want to mention before we start our news also is a lot of you who still use AIM. I like to use it.
Next to no one, but yeah, good morning.
Well, I started up AIM today on the Mac, and I kept giving me an error. I'd never seen it before. We're having problems. Come back later. And so I tried it. Nothing worked. Finally, I basically deleted AIM completely, got rid of it and all the supporting files, and restarted the computer. Relaunched AIM from a new download. Same thing. There's a problem. It wouldn't do it. So I went to the reliable Google and did a search. I went to Google News and see if there was anything. And sure enough, a lot of you out there were not able to access AIM, and a solution was found. Basically, all you had to do was deselect the part where it says it memorizes the password, enter in the password manually, log on again, and you're fine.
Which I'm shocked that you had to Google that, because that took me about 20 seconds to try.
Well,
So,
but you did the other way. You see, you did it that way. I didn't. I went ahead and deleted everything else and rebooted. I didn't think to deselect the option that says, that memorize the password. Inadvertently.
yeah, I mean, if for some reason it's having a problem log in, you re-enter your username and re-enter your password, and if that's not the problem, then you go on from there. But the first one is like, are my credentials correct? Okay,
You put the
then go forward.
I put the cart before the horse. I did more than I needed to do. I should have just deselected it, but it didn't. Anyway, deselecting it and entering the password worked.
For everyone else out there, if something like that ever happens where you think, oh, what could this possibly be? Is it on their side? Is it on my side?
Mhm.
Always re-enter your credentials and then go from there. That's step number 1.
Okay, there it is. Words to good words.
Words to abide by.
Yes.
Words to abide by Ben.
That's it. All right. So that said, let's do some computer news. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. Check them out. Download them. They've got some terrific features. We use them all. I use them all, and they do a terrific job, especially with Windows 10. The privacy feature, it does all the correct selections for you, because not all of them are they're kind of all over Windows 10. Utilities like this just really makes things a lot simpler. Download them all. You'll thank us for it, and you'll be happy that you did it. Slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so I think with the first story that we are going to try to tackle is let's start out heavy. And this is something that is going to affect everyone, because we fought against it. Yes, we did. And they found a way to sneak it past us. Yay! All right, so this is from Motherboard, although there are stories about this all over the internet. And this happened last night, where lawmakers have snuck CISA, CISA, into a bill that is guaranteed to become law.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
What is this?
to anyone who has protested the sweeping, vague, and privacy-killing iterations of the Cybersecurity Information and Sharing and Protection Act, because, whenever you a name of one of these bills put forward and the Cybersecurity Information Sharing and Protection Act, you think, oh, that's good. That's going to keep us safe. But that's code for, of course, the legislation inside of it is privacy destroying.
Mm-hmm.
So, say goodbye to that. So, and this is, and the article continues on saying that over the last several years, lawmakers have heard you and they have ignored you. And it sounds bleak, but they have stripped the very bad CISA bill of almost all its privacy protections and have inserted the full text of it into a bill that is essentially guaranteed to be passed and will certainly not be vetoed by President Obama.
Mm.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, CISA allows private companies to pass your personal information and online goings-on to the federal government and local law enforcement if it suspects you of being a cybersecurity threat. Which, let's face it, it's so broad that it can apply to anything and everyone.
Mm.
The language just isn't there to protect your privacy. The language is so vague that you really have, the government and law enforcement will have almost open reign.
Wait, but it says it can be used. It's an open. It says it's so open that it can be used to gather information about just about any crime, cyber or not. Well, okay, but if it's still criminal activity, that's not a bad thing. If you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you're breaking the law.
Right, let's go a little bit further. So the Senate passed a version of CISA earlier this fall, but now a more invasive version of it, which is again renamed the Cybersecurity Act 2015, has been inserted into an extremely important budget bill. And that's, by the way, why it's not going to be vetoed, is that it's inside a budget bill, and the government kind of likes having a budget. So that happened this morning at 2 a.m. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan unveiled a 2,000-page budget bill that will fund the government well into next year, which is always good. But the spending bill, as it is usually referred to, is the result of countless hours of backroom dealings and negotiation between the two parties. So here we have inside the budget bill, there's an excerpt from Politico, and it has all these different things in it, including the Cadillac tax for Obamacare. We don't really care about that. They also agreed to lift the prohibition of U.S. oil, blah, blah, blah. Like, this one budget bill had so much legislation crammed into it just because it was a budget bill, and they could, stick it in there and it's going to get passed because, it was going to get passed anyways. So, so with all that stuff in there, CISA may seem small potatoes politically speaking compared to the other stuff that we just mentioned, but every major political media outlet is already talking about how the deal avoids a government shutdown and is already a good thing because it's going to be passed. But perhaps because lawmakers knew the bill would not be vetoed, they pushed back against many already weak privacy protections remaining in the Senate version of CISA have been stripped. So here's where, Craig, you were mentioning, well, if it's a crime, it's a crime, and they should have information on that. The version of CISA in the budget bill allows cybersecurity threat information to be shared directly with the NSA and the Department of Defense, specifically removes a provision that banned the government from using information for surveillance activities and allows the government to use information it gleans to prosecute any type of criminal activity, not just cybercrime. So, and they said, and the article goes on to say that at this point there's very little anyone can do about it, and the budget bill is going to pass. Essentially no matter what, because they need that. But why this is so bad is because it's stripping all let's say you were caught. I don't want to use something as extreme as robbing a house, but let's say you're robbing a house. then they can go on, ask any of these private companies, ask Google, ask Apple. They can ask Apple for your whereabouts. They could ask Google for all of your communications. They can ask any online service provider to provide all the possible information of everything you have ever done on the internet since this bill has been passed. So,
well, if you were
I guess if you're, I guess if you're one of the people that really doesn't care if, the government has complete access to everything you do online and you say, forget privacy on the internet, let them have free reign, then this really doesn't make much difference to you.
But that's not what it's really saying. It's saying if you've done criminal activity, if you broke into somebody's home, then you kind of forego rights of privacy.
But don't forget, this is also surveillance. So if they suspect you of a crime, then they can surveil you while you're just using the internet. So if they suspect you of a crime, if they think that you're connected with something, they can then use all these services to put surveillance on you on your internet usage.
I'm sort of for it because I think it's if you they're not going to go to the average John Doe who just does his or her thing. I think it's people who have profiles of suggesting that there's criminal activity.
Well, here's the thing: we already have minor forms of this. We already have all these major companies. They are essentially monitoring their own networks and their own systems to check for terrorist threats. Like terrorism is the hot button topic nowadays, and with the horrible mass shootings in California, one big thing it has been that they openly talked about this on social media. There were huge red flags on social media, and name any government agency, they had access to those. Facebook had access to their chat logs. The levels of surveillance that are in place already are more than sufficient, but the monitoring and the acting on this information is still awful. They're like, you can say, yes, collect all the data and we'll catch these guys beforehand, but the information that we collect now is already useful for doing that, and the information we have now is already too much, and you just can't keep track of it. So they want to collect more from everyone, while what they collect now is next to useless because there's too much of it and they can't parse it out.
So you're
and Craig, like I get it that you'll be able to catch these criminals beforehand. Like that's what they're kind of promising, but they can't even do that now. More surveillance is not the answer to already horrible tools that they're surveilling with.
They need to update the tools, obviously. And
it's not even updating the tools. There's just too much information. Like they've come out and said it. When you have 1 billion Facebook users and you're trying to monitor all instances of terrorist activity, you're just not going to be able to handle that much information. You can't hire enough people to go through that.
I don't think it's people. I think they have algorithms that look for certain patterns and
if those algorithms were in any way effective, don't you think that they catch these huge red flags? I mean, they're essentially talking about it out in the open.
Well, they are catching a lot of them. We don't hear about the ones that they catch. We only hear the ones about that they've missed. And I am of the mindset that that it's working, and they are thwarting a lot of these.
It's just hard for me to justify more surveillance, more monitoring, more data collection of private citizens when the little that they've done, or the lot that they've done, Edward Snowden, the NSA, all that kind of stuff that went down and that we know about, when what they've done has effectively brought us nothing. Attacks still happen, and mass shootings still happen. These things seem to be happening on a much more regular basis. So giving them more tools just seems like the wrong way to go. And a lot of people agree, which is why this is getting such an uproar on the internet, because that's where this is taking place. They see it the same way. They don't see giving more tools is the answer here.
No. We're not going to solve it in the 15 minutes, but I'm inclined to think that they are continuing to work on ways to utilize the data and are creating programs that do that, because obviously it's just impossible just for people to do it. And of course, as they continue to improve those, they'll need more data too. They'll be able to sift through more data to get more accurate hits. There are ways that they can dispel ones that are not of any significance. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to get the infrastructure into place. And again, I think if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. That's my contention at this point. But I could be wrong. Right.
I really do hope you're wrong. I really do. I mean, we live in a society where Edward Snowden really did release a lot of information and is still releasing a lot of information that, give the government these tools, and they're not just using it to fight evil. They're using it everywhere for everything.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to continue on. This next story is from Maximum PC. Paul Lilly, Microsoft evidently is at it again. This is one of the reasons why you need PC tools. Their privacy tools. They continue to write utilities that make things easier for you. In this particular case, Microsoft is making Windows 10, the Windows 10 upgrade, seem to be mandatory. He says they're getting pushy with pop-ups. Evidently, though, he says sometimes there's some ideas are just bad. He says one of those ideas is to splash older Windows systems with pop-ups that implore users to upgrade to Windows 10 with seemingly two options: upgrade now or upgrade tonight. Maybe we need a door number 3, one that says, I think I'll stay put on my current version of Windows. Thank you very much. It's the familiar X in the upper right corner, which closes the pop-up. All right. Fair enough. Or is it? Basically, he's saying less savvy users might not realize that clicking X and dismissing the pop-up is an option, and B, that by clicking it, they won't ruin their eligibility to upgrade to Windows 10 for free sometime later when they're ready. For upgrades from Windows 10, from Windows 7 and Windows 8, 8.1, which is free for the first year, and we're only 5 months into that, so you still have like 7 months. He goes on to say Microsoft's pushy pop-up is causing a bit of a ruckus on the web, and understandably so. The pop-up makes it seem as though users have two choices, which is really just one choice, that being to upgrade to Windows 10. He says, I happen to like Windows 10, he says, but there are legitimate reasons why users might want to stick with an older version of Windows. Okay. I'm not sure what that might be. I guess compatibility with legacy software. That's a possibility.
Although, is this article really an article? Because I thought this was something that we had talked about, fought over, discussed at length, leading up to the whole Windows 10, kind of upgrade, that updates were not optional. I mean, in the private section, in the private home license, operating system, updates were mandatory. Like you had like a week to update to the latest one.
Well, no, is it the professional one gave you like up to a year?
The professional gave you 10 months.
10 months, yeah, exactly. Although he's going on to say not all these pop-ups show the same options. He says on one of his machines, they hadn't yet been upgraded to Windows 10. He saw a pop-up with only the Upgrade Now button. There were reports around the web of others seeing the same thing, which puts an even greater amount of unnecessary pressure on less savvy users. He goes on to say that it's a shame that Microsoft is embarking down such an aggressive path. Yes, Windows 10 is the future, and Microsoft is going all in, which with what it says will be the last monolithic version of Windows ever. We've had an argument about that too. One that unites devices from different product categories, but making it seem as though users don't have a choice in the matter is a cheap tactic that reflects poorly on the company and the product. That's the article, but I agree with you. Microsoft did say that it's going to be mandatory unless you have the Pro version, which they say you have 10 months to do it. And if you haven't upgraded yet, well, I mean, it's been around now for quite some time, and Microsoft definitely wants everybody on the same platform, and for good reasons, and running the same thing. And we've had the discussion: is Windows 10 truly the last gigantic upgrade Microsoft's ever going to do to Windows? And the contention has been no, that they're going to come up with something else eventually. Anyway, he put this article out about an hour ago. and they are putting out these different
Maybe-
pop-ups. Just
Maybe
be aware
read
of
it because he got one too many pop-ups, and he's like, you know what, Microsoft, I'm gonna write a column about you.
it. But look, Windows 10 is a good thing. I mean, it's a terrific operating system. We here on the show recommend that you update it. It's the best answer to most anything you're going to be doing with Windows, unless there's some strange proprietary thing that you're doing, obscure thing. I think that Windows 10 is in everybody's future, and
Keep an eye on your privacy settings, though.
yeah, yes, and again, things like Windows, Slimware Utilities has that privacy setting, so it will make sure that all of them are selected properly. That's a good thing. Okay.
All right. Let's go with Ford.
Mhm.
They make cars, and they make very good cars. I'm not going to badmouth Ford.
Mhm.
But here we have something that we've all known, loved, used, and for the new Ford GT, we'll be sporting it. With the next Ford GT, this from Engadget, by the way, the new Ford GT has a Gorilla Glass windshield.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So Corning, and that's the firm that's famous for making glass for your smartphone. And by the way, we're going to try to go out there and see their demonstration and their displays. The firms are teaming up to produce a new windshield glass for next year's Ford GT that promises to be thinner, lighter, and tougher than anything that's gone before. So the Gorilla Glass Hybrid, will not. I'm sorry. Will not only be seen in front of a new ride, but also to replace the glass that normally sits on the engine cover window.
Yeah.
So and of course this is all about weight, as long as durability. Where the new windshield, this new glass, is going to knock about 12 pounds of weight from the GT with no discernible downside. The pair also promises that unlike that smashed smartphone on your bottom drawer, the windshield can withstand anything the road throws at it. And they even have a clip, and it's a ball of ice being fired at the window by a high-powered cannon. And amazingly, the glass does very, very well. We'll just play that during.
As you know, when you drive on the road, you always see these high-speed balls of ice being fired at your windshield, so you don't have to worry about.
Well, I think a lot of it is rocks that may fly up from the cars in front of you, or it may
That's
be
the main culprit. I know that's happened to us several times as well. Driving behind a truck, and all of a sudden, bam! The rockets. They have these mud flaps that supposedly protects it from happening, but it still does.
Like. Yes, there's that, and then there's also what do you call it? Hail, and hail can get very, very big and dangerous. It's not a good place to be for if you're a car windshield.
Mm-hmm.
So
and your car, quite frankly, it can dent metal. Those hail balls.
Oh yeah, no, it can provide a beating. So right now, this sort of gear will only be available in the most expensive of the Ford sports cars, but if successful, that will obviously change. As with most things in the automotive industry, high end, of course, trickles down to lower end, cars.
Mm-hmm.
So first the GTs, and then the everyone else's.
I think it's a great idea. Obviously,
if Gorilla Glass is, and by the way, if you're watching the video, the first one was, of course, just an ordinary windshield, and it got cracked, spidered, all that kind of stuff. Not very good.
The
second one,
you didn't have
Gorilla Glass. It just shatters the ice chunk.
You didn't have the video showing. We didn't see it. No. You should say.
I'm not very good at this. But anyways.
Okay.
So and again, just to reiterate, the video shows here, shoot the glass, and you can see it crack and spider and all that kind of stuff. Just not very good. And then they show the Gorilla Glass, and they shoot it, and it just.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Now it came up.
And it just.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at that.
So.
And the Gorilla Glass
awesome
survived. Isn't that cool?
And I guess the greatest thing is 12 pounds. That's better gas mileage, even though it's just 12 pounds in a 1,500-pound car. But every pound counts over the life of a car.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, we continue on. Ben and I are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And this next story here, again, Maximum PC's Paul Lilly. Firefox browser finally brings 64-bit goodness to Windows in a stable form. Okay. You know, look, it's taken a long time, but Mozilla has finally released a 64-bit version of Firefox for Windows in non-beta form. Yay! We need a little applause for that, I think, yes. It took long enough. See, Mozilla had previously offered 64-bit builds of Firefox for Mac OS X and Linux, but this is the first time it's been available in stable form for Windows users of Windows 7 and above. That said, there are some limitations in transitioning from 32 to 64-bit. Firefox 64-bit for Windows is by design has limited support for plugins, and users will notice that certain sites requiring plugins that work in previous 32-bit versions of Firefox might not work in this 64-bit version. Okay, this is true like anything else. You know, you just have to be careful. Don't toss away your 32-bit version. You know, keep it in all your plugins because there might be some compatibility issues, but eventually everything is going to work with it for the most part. Okay. All right, we're at our first break. Our second break here at the bottom of the hour. We got a computer and technology news. We've got another news tips bulletin review coming up as well. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
RKTV. Sometimes I think that's just the price point. Hi, Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, a pair of Kensington Powerbolt car USB chargers. They sent two models, each interesting for a different reason and both going beyond our expectations for deliverables. The dual-port model provides a total of 5.2 amps, more than most pairs of tablets need. The single-port 2.4 amp model supports Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0, a great way to get compatible phones fully recharged much faster. The dual-port model is roughly a quarter-inch longer than the other, but both stay tight to the 12-volt socket head, making for easier access. Both have the brand's PowerWhiz feature for tailoring the charging current to devices. So bottom line, Kensington Powerbolt car USB chargers bring uncompromising USB charging power to car accessory sockets. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that News Tip Bulletin review. We're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And first hour Intel, go back and check that out. If you did not get a chance to catch that, it was a great, very timely for the winter holidays, obviously, because it was some of that was gift giving guide ideas. So, yeah, we're continuing on stories, and Craig was right in the middle of this Mozilla 64-bit in Windows.
Right. And the caveat was, even though you have it, there might be some incompatibility with plugins. Some websites still might not work, and this was true even when they were doing for Mac and for Linux when it first came out, 32-bit to 64-bit. And they've been doing this for the past 10 years. But evidently, according to the article, Mozilla promised to deliver a 64-bit build of Firefox for Windows by the end of the year, and here it is with just over 2 weeks to spare. So what's the payoff for downloading the 64-bit build, he asks. Well, just like the 64-bit version of Windows, Firefox can properly address more than 4 gigs of RAM. Casual users aren't likely to notice the difference in performance, though in theory, the 64-bit build should allow for more tabs to be opened without taking a performance hit. See, that is very important, because I know here on the show, I open like 10, 15 tabs at once in advance. And with the 64-bit version, I can do that without suffering, because it takes advantage of all the additional memory. Whereas the 32-bit version, it maxes out at 4 gigs. It can only address 4 gigs of memory. But beyond that, developers should be able to build more complex web goodies, including games. Though for now, the biggest payoff is being able to say, "Hey, I'm running a 64-bit version of Firefox. Awesome sauce." The 64-bit version is introduced in Firefox 43, which also brings about private browsing with tracking protection, improved API support for M4V video playback, the ability to choose search suggestions from the awesome bar, and a few other new features. Be advised that end-placed upgrades will keep you on the 32-bit build. To grab the 64-bit version of the Fox, you have to go to a download page at Mozilla and click the 64-bit download arrow next to your language of choice. There you go. And they actually provide links for that on the story site itself, but that's how you do it. So 64-bit version of Firefox for Windows is now officially here. I guess not, because they know Edge is even though technically here it's still being worked, but Edge, of course, is going to be a 64-bit browser, and they want to ensure that they stay ahead of that, because one of the nice things about, or supposedly the nice things about Edge, is that it's going to be compatible with all plugins, be it earlier versions or later versions, and not only that, of different browsers for Chrome, any plugins for Chrome or any other browser that's out there are going to be compatible with Edge. So that's what they're aiming to do for that. They haven't done it yet, but they're getting close to it.
Yeah, if they can just get it out there, people will start using Edge.
Okay.
All right. So this next story is one that is a throwback to, I believe, a story we did yesterday, actually. Here, I'll just copy and paste this. All right. So Amazon sold hoverboards.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They sold hoverboards, and now they are telling people to throw away their unsafe hoverboards if you happen to purchase one. Throw it away. And of course, the nice part that Amazon, I guess, really didn't have to do was it is also refunding those customers in their entirety.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So, and Amazon is eating the cost.
Yeah, well, because obviously if they tell you to throw it away, but they don't refund you, that's not good.
Many people are pretty unlikely to throw it out. But there are okay. So let's just get to the article. And of course the hoverboards, as we talked about, the retailers have already pulled. The retailer, being Amazon, has already pulled some models from its store. Those that had been proved to have faulty batteries and faulty chargers, which led to a few combusting. So they contacted everyone who had purchased some of these, and mainly it was in the US and the UK. Anyone who had purchased these unsafe and models, and told them to dispose of it immediately. They said Amazon told a reporter from Engadget that his Rio Rand self-balancing scooter did not come equipped with a compliant UK plug. He was advised to hand it in at a waste electrical and electrical equipment location, and would receive a full refund. UK retailers Tesco, Argos, and John Lewis have stopped selling the hoverboards altogether as well. So, the article goes in saying that the popularity of the hoverboards are rocketing, with Chinese manufacturers have helped flood the market with near identical models that may not have passed consumer safety checks. And they said that in the UK, authorities have seized more than 15,000 self-balancing scooters at seaports, airports, and postal hubs over potential fire risk linked to the internal batteries and cutoff switches, including chargers and plugs and cabling. And the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is also investigating reports of fires and is seeking to determine whether the two-wheelers are safe. But I think it answered its own question right there. China makes a lot of stuff, and most of the stuff they make is perfectly okay. But when it comes to cheap knockoffs and electronics, there are problems. We've heard of phones that have, caught on fire to the point of burning people's hands. We've heard of, just technology going awry in a lot of different ways. So it seems like the UK and the US are taking, the proper steps to intercept these before it even happens. And Amazon is doing a solid by refunding anyone who purchased these unsafe models, refunding them their full purchase price.
Well, that's a good thing, obviously. People aren't getting ripped off. It's interesting. If China wanted to, I guess, mount an attack on the U.S., what a great way to lead into that with exploding hoverboards. I don't think
I don't think that's what they're for. I don't think we're going to lose the war, but I'm not saying there's a war, but not saying we would lose the war by setting a couple 10-year-olds' shoes on fire.
No, but there was that plane with
I will admit though, I had not really heard about these until this whole controversy. But the more I see pictures of it, and the more I see it, I think I want to try one.
The more you want it, that's it. Exactly.
They look fun, don't they? Like in all the pictures.
Yeah, they do. They look really great. But the thing is that one of them exploded in an airplane, which was not good. And so
they don't like things exploding in airplanes.
No, they don't. No. I wouldn't want it to happen to me either.
But I kind of want to try one. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, they're not easy to ride though. They're not like a Segway you can hop on, and just go. I mean, it's like a Segway with no handlebars. It takes
it's like all things, you didn't perfectly ride your bike the first time. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, it is. It's I actually watched when they were doing a story. We had one of the local news stations. A guy, the reporter, was actually pretty good on a surfboard, but when he went on this, he kept falling off it. And he said, it takes, just because you know how to ride a surfboard doesn't mean you're going to be able to, run one of these. It takes some relearning. Some learning skills to do it, because it works like a Segway. The way you act is you actually lean forward, toes down slightly, mean you're moving forward, and then you let up, and it stops or reverse. I mean, it's basically the way you lean is how it propels itself.
Right.
And again, also the battery life is not that long. I think what they say 4 hours, 6 hours.
You're not going to be riding this thing around all day, but from A to B, it'll get you places, but it's definitely not a replacement for any form of travel.
Vehicle. Yeah, it's strictly recreation. Yeah. Okay. All right. Kevin Parrish wrote this next article, again from Maximum PC. Microsoft says sorry for Surface Notebook Pro 4 issues. Ooh, there are issues. Evidently, for nearly 2 months have passed since Microsoft released the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4. And while these devices have received mostly positive reviews from critics, many customers are flooding Microsoft's forums with hardware and software complaints. The problems are apparently serious and numerous, prompting Microsoft to issue a public apology for the state of the two Surfaces. It's not as bad as the exploding hoverboard, though. I don't think none of them exploded, but still. For those of you who've had a less than perfect experience, This is a quote from Microsoft. We're sorry. We're so sorry for any frustration this has caused. Well, this is the company said on Friday. Please know that we're reading your comments and hearing you loud and clear. Your input is incredibly valuable in helping us address your questions with timely updates and fixes, unquote. Now, over this past several months, there have been reports that some units are experiencing a battery drain while in sleep mode. That's not good, because the idea if you're sleeping, you don't want it to drain the battery. Other problems include displaying drive error messages, boot problems, random crashes, and flickering screens. Microsoft has been working to address these issues and has already published a number of updates via Windows Update. Unfortunately, for those with the Surface Pro 4 and the energy guzzling problem, the fix may not arrive until next year. A Microsoft representative recently said that the company was aware that the device doesn't go into its deepest sleep even before it's shipped. Wow, they knew about it before they shipped it and they shipped it anyway? That's not good. Thus, until a fix is provided, owners of both devices are given the option of putting them into hibernate mode to keep the guzzling at a minimum. Okay. Another quote, a big thanks to all of our customers for your open and candid feedback on Surface Pro and Surface Pro 4, the apology says. A Microsoft spokesperson told Engadget, who wrote the story, that the company is aware of a small set, that's in quotes, a small set of Surface Book and Surface Pro 4 customers who are experiencing issues. An engineering team has been assigned to get updates out as quickly as possible. The spokesperson said Microsoft will utilize the Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book support forums to communicate directly to customers when information becomes available to share. So if you bought one of these and you're having problems, I don't know if misery loves company, but you're not the only one. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be very happy if I purchased one of these things and it was acting up. I want my money back immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah, I mean, these things happen, and luckily, most tech companies are, pretty quick with an apology and pretty quick with a refund/replacement. But yeah, some of these problems seem refund worthy.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, we thought you should know.
Yeah, and speaking of things you should know about this new Chrome extension. And this is for Star Wars Episode 7. And I guess about a week before, major leaks started coming out about the film. And, if you want to have one of those, those big Episode, 6 moments where, they take the helm off of Darth Vader and he is, Luke's father and things like that. Yeah. You really, really, really want to avoid spoilers. So, by the way, that was a spoiler, but it's from like 1977, so I really don't care. Well, people have been trying to ruin the movie for as many people as possible online, even in the most innocuous places. In the most, strange comment sections are sentences that will just give away the huge plot points in the movie. And so here we have an extension that is designed specifically to keep you unaware of Episode 7 spoilers. So this is called Force Block. If you go into the Chrome section, Force Block for Chrome warns you of sites that may contain Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens coverage, including but not limited to spoilers. Tech sites, movie sites, and more that have covered Star Wars Episode 7 in the past will be prime suspects on the list, including Popular Science site. And according to the extension page, Force Block detects spoilers using smart pattern detection and a whitelist for false alarms. So, but there's more. Along with preventing you from seeing spoilers, the extension will provide a quote from one of the 6 movies in the colors and fonts fan know and love, which is, of course, the blue on black. Beneath the quote, users are offered the ability to continue on anyway or never block the page instead of just the usual, blank page. And, this site has malicious spoilers. No, it's, a quote. So feel free to hit the ladder button and on your favorite site being, as they say, PopSci. So Other options like Spoiler Shield and Facebook Purity are available for non-Chrome users, but only protect you from spoilers in your social feed. So it remains unseen if people can avoid spoilers. But so far, I surf the internet a lot. I have so far missed all the spoilers, so I'm happy about that, and I hope to continue missing them.
Now, if you're a Firefox or Safari user, he says you're better off just staying away from the internet altogether.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course, we're talking about the Star Wars movie opening this Friday, December the 18th. So there you go. We plan to go see it, but probably we're going to see it on not on a Friday or Saturday, but we're probably going to go on a Sunday afternoon matinee. It's probably, I think, the best time to go see it. So that's when we'll probably wind up doing that. But Star Wars is here. It's almost here. Almost here.
Let's see. A lot of people have been seeing like the advanced screenings. I don't know where the heck they're seeing them, but like a lot of the press has gotten early screenings for the reviews, and the reviews seem very, very positive. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as we discussed with Nathan Evans on Monday, reviews don't mean anything. So,
We continue on here. Another story from Engadget. Facebook brings Uber rides to Messenger. Right. So this, again, according to John Fergus from Engadget, says in the near future you might not have to interrupt that Facebook Messenger chat to hail a ride home, because Facebook has announced, this was just about 1 hour ago, transportation on Messenger, which integrates ride-hailing services into the communications app. To no one's surprise, Uber is the first partner. You can order a ride entirely within Messenger, and you'll get things like receipts and status updates as conversations. The transport platform is still in testing in certain parts of the U.S., but other areas and countries are coming soon. The deal might be crucial to improving the bottom line for both companies. Facebook will get more users and, more importantly, their payment info, returning to Messenger, which it's increasingly turning into a platform between inclusions like games and smart assistants. Meanwhile, Uber would get a leg up in places where messaging and ride sharing already mix. Its main rival in the country, DidaDash, will get you a lift through WeChat. Uber would have a direct equivalent that worked in many more places around the world. So there it is. On sort of a related story, I downloaded an app. I wanted to park in Palm Beach, Florida, and the app that I had for the Carolinas didn't work with the parking meters in Florida. So I downloaded the app for the one there, and I was very pleasantly surprised because the one they have in here in Florida is far more sophisticated. You can literally take your phone. If you go park your car, you can take your phone and just point. You don't have to need the number. You just point your phone with the app running at the sign, and it will automatically do everything else. I mean, that's all you need to do. Just point it, and it'll pay for your parking. If you get a little countdown timer on your smartphone, it shows you how it'll notify you. Even turn off. You got 15 minutes left. It'll let you know that before you. If you need to extend it again, you can do so. You can add minutes to it. Another nice thing is that has it knows it'll remember where you parked your car. So when you're off, you just say "Find my car," and it'll pop up a little map, GPS map, where it'll take you right back to where you ever.
None of that really surprises me because North Carolina, not as big of a tourist destination as Florida. So it really stands to reason that Florida would have invested a lot more time and energy and resources into a better working parking app.
I agree, and not only that, in the Carolinas, you get no indication on the meter. It doesn't reflect that that you've paid. It just kind of shows up. Where on the ones in Florida, if you actually go look at the meter, you'll see that your car it's been paid for. You can get You can get the validation from the meter itself or from your smartphone. Either way, it's in full communications with the meter. It's just a more sophisticated app, and it's a better system. And I wanted to try just for the sake of trying it, and because they put the parking meters where where you want to park most, and you can't, so they put them there. And I was very pleasantly surprised. It works quite nicely. So just more things you can do with your smartphone, really. And this thing about now Facebook bringing Uber rides to Messenger, that's nice too. So
absolutely.
Okay.
All right. And Craig, I'm gonna need you to get the rim shot ready. We have a link from a guest, and I decided, I'm gonna live life on the edge, and he linked directly to a Star Wars spoiler. So if you're watching the video portion of the screen, we're gonna throw it up there so all of you can see it as well. Craig, are you ready?
Yep.
Star Wars spoiler. And for anyone listening to the purely audio version of the show, it is of course a sports car spoiler with the logo of Star Wars.
It's the spoiler, the fin that goes in the back of the card, and it has the word Star Wars written on it. So technically it's a Star Wars spoiler.
So thank you, Jonathan, for that. Ouch, that hurt just to look at. All right, so we have time for one more real quick, and we're just going to cover this one lightly, but it's a very, very cool implication, as this one from Popular Science again, Xavier Harding, and Google's driverless car project will become its own alphabet company. So for anyone who doesn't know, back in earlier in the year, Google had made its intentions very clear that the self-driving the autonomous systems in its cars were going to become its own company, including an on-demand ride service. So like that was one of the ways they were going to monetize all this research and development they're putting into self-driving cars. So the article says that the autonomous vehicle program was first revealed in 2012 as a side project of Google, and with the companies reorganizing into the alphabet, they will now have their own company. Like, they won't be a part of Google; they'll be under Alphabet. So back in August, Google announced that it would reorganize as Alphabet, and with no shortage of projects to work on or companies to acquire, the search engine behemoth decided to shift gears. And under Alphabet, each company could get its own CEO and report its own financial results at the end of the year. So each company also gets assigned its own letter, G for Google, for example. So, but it makes more sense when considering the potential this kind of product could have. Many legacy car makers like Honda and Toyota are working to include autopilot features into their cars. So, Google could also use the self-driving cars for other purposes. And the first purposes were, of course, Google would use them to map roads and collect traffic data and and other data to create their Google Maps. And Google also bought Waze. So and also it's an AI prediction abilities present in Google Now, launching a separate autonomous driving company based on these technologies. But Google could also use the self-driving cars. They said that Google is going to offer its own ride-hailing service in competition with Uber, and the report contains mention of Google ride-sharing app that is already in use amongst employees of Google. So, long story short, there's a little bit more to it, but Google is looking to, and by the way, Google was a huge investor in Uber. Google, I believe, still owns a 7% overall share of Uber, but with their self-driving technology that they've been working on for the past 3-4 years or even longer, they want to take these self-driving autonomous cars and put them, I'm sure, in populated cities and use them as a form of ride sharing, in-app kind of deal.
No, I agree.
Where you could just be in a populated city, pull up a Google app, and you pay a service fee, you pay a subscription fee, and the autonomous car would drive to you, pick you up, drop you off, go on about its happy way. And I think that's a really, really cool system if we ever see it come, because we've been waiting for that for a while.
Tomorrow we're going to have
industry has not been waiting.
Tomorrow we're going to have Marcel Gagne, our Linux expert. One of the things we're going to be talking about is things like this heralding in a new era for humans. In other words, one of the biggest job markets has been truck drivers and cab drivers, and that's all. He says he predicts it's all going to go away, and eventually we're just going to have sort of like a Star Trekian kind of utopia where
90 seconds
do what they want to do rather than.
It's either that or massive unemployment, and we are not in a good place.
Exactly. And that's all coming tomorrow. Marcel Gagne, our Linux expert. We're going to be talking about Linux and more Linux, and that's one of the topics we're going to be discussing because we're a little all over the road, but we like doing that with Marcel, including his wine of the month. That about wraps it up. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Again, thanks to Intel.
60 seconds.
Talking about their 2-in-1 and tablets and holiday shopping guides and gifts and things to look for in the months ahead coming from Intel. And thanks to you, our listeners, for being with us here on today's show. It was a lot of fun. And Ben and I are going to see you here, same time, same station, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Get those lightsabers all set because Star Wars is just around the corner. And I'm sure if you go there, you'll see us waiting in line. Anyway, so until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Where's my lightsaber?
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, guys. Again, thank you. And girls, everybody, thank you for watching. And we'll see you here tomorrow with Marcel Gagne on our Linux show. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.